the cloud and wireless, which doesn't fit in any diagram. And you have the financial reporting problems which I mentioned, the internal control for financial reporting and compliance requirements to add with. And still yet, I have a risk rating also. I have this rating agency coming in auditing my risk management system. I have to meet to their requirements. And you have the COSO, COBIT layers adding to that, standards to be done. All this calls for some sort of framework, probably, which you mentioned rightly, which is called internal control for financial reporting or IT controls. Again, IT general controls, as we say, generally assessed IT controls. You need some kind of layer, some kind of framework. Probably some institution will come out with that. And you will look at significant accounts in the balance sheet, significant processes, significant controls, significant application, general controls. SOX has some favor. SOX framework is good, but doesn't address yet the need for IT controls audit framework, which you rightly mentioned. Is there any risk checks, risk control, process risk control check for all scenarios in IT? That's the emerging audit approach or the ultimate approach I see. And that will probably solve some of the issues you people raised in the audience. Again, I'll leave it to RR to add the views.
Yeah, I think just to conclude the whole thing, like what we were discussing in the first panel, really whatever is the control why investment is required. For example, being in global risk management, I spend more than 4 million only for doing the audits and going abroad, on our own visits, means internal funding to meet 100 customers in a year. Means I take the cost of travel, absorb everything, per diem, 5 days stay. We do like 100 visits to the customer. Means it is how do you really sell it and how actually the organization feels there is a importance for the group. I agree with you. There could be some people have to sponsor it at the CFO level or at the CEO level or at the management level. So that is the really big challenge, getting the buy-in, and then we should always take the confidence of the delivery teams or the support functions and what is that value add we are giving. So we have to become a trusted advisor, be participative mode, go in a collaborative mode, help them to identify the risk at the selling a contract or before the contract, identify the problems, bring those risks to the table, have a mitigation plan, let the business agree, I'm ready to face these problems. One thing I have done is in our organization is we recommend to the management, to the approvers, whether to go with a proposition or not. Means if there is a deal of 5 million, what are the risks? We will say recommended or not recommended at the proposal level itself. Means that is the validation we are giving, and we will then track those risks throughout the project, and at the end we say we not recommended some out of 1,500 proposals we didn't recommend 100. Out of 100, 50 realized. Out of 50, in 25% or 50% project we lost either the money or the customer confidence or we lost referential sites. If we can give this validation at the end of the year, like how we progressed and what is the importance of it, will definitely help. So we have to do that analysis of the data, use that data to project it, the group's importance and how it adds value to the business. If we can do that, then we are there.
Another important area, last area that I thought I'll touch is the fraud element.
Yeah,
so
fraud management.
That's a separate risk assessment you do, fraud risk assessment, which is not normal and connected with your regular risk assessment. You'll have to look at all processes and say what could go wrong from a fraud perspective, which is very, very funny way, or it's a specialized area. If you need expertise, you should call experts from outside. This is quite important because one fraud is enough to knock off all the hard work you've done throughout your life. I will question your credibility, it will question so many things. You said so many things, you made so many presentations, we had so many audit committees, we spent hours and hours and hours, and then you have this fraud. Why you didn't catch it?
So if you are doing internal audit, you must for internal auditor do a fraud.
Absolutely, totally agree. So his point is that if you do an internal audit, you must do a fraud risk assessment. Absolutely right. No doubts on that. So you look at anti-fraud culture, awareness. So it again goes through the layers: risk assessment, vulnerability, awareness, audit, complete layer, whistleblowing. So all the layers will apply to this: publicity material, induction, fraud awareness presentation. And then how do you prevent a fraud? Do lots of policy, process, procedure reviews, code of conduct, gift policy, expenses, do mystery shopping, do audit work, question staff, as he rightly said, mobile number if he asked, he says yes. Then you imagine. I had this problem of dealing room. Dealing room insider trading is very, very dangerous.
Yes.
You know how dangerous it is. And what I did was I jammed the mobiles inside the dealing room because it didn't work, as you rightly said. They were supposed to deposit the cell and somebody is supposed to see cameras inside, still they talk on the cell. I said, enough is enough. I put a jammer and finished off all the cells. There is no regulatory requirement to put a jammer. But I told, look at the regulatory side. If somebody is, I had a CBI letter, I had an enforcement letter. When these love letters come, you know, it's of course love letter for me and not love letter for the concerned employees. They really come to me and say, Sundar, please rescue us. They literally fall at your feet. Because you know, you have to then legally tackle it. Then I tell them, don't worry, I have taped your conversations. I have taped your this. I have taped the landline. I have the cameras. I have done all the checking that I need to do. I have checked your demand statement, so you don't need to worry. You haven't done any fraud. I will answer them. So then you pick up and you demonstrate to the enforcement agencies that this is what we have. And they said, okay, good. So then they don't need to worry because, you know, this is the tricky part. So these are key. And then again, of course, this we discussed in the morning, continuous monitoring, which is so important. It's much more than the concurrent audit. It's not concurrent audit, it is intelligent concurrent audit. And I would say today auditors' role have emerged, but all this without compromising independence. You might do a lot of value addition, you might partner, you might do a new process review, which is NPR, you might do a facilitated control self-assessment, you might do ITIL, you might do an audit, you might partner them also, but you must be very careful that your independence is also important. In some of the specialist approach that you require, you might need to think through, you might need to hire specialists, you might need to outsource, co-source, depends on, again, your budget, what kind of room you have, and so there is no limit to kind of knowledge updation that you need to do. So that's about it from our side. Continuous audit, continuous monitoring, roll out self-governance, self-compliance. That's about it.
Any questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so because what would happen is,
And if I say it is a compliance activity,
see, actually, luckily I'm bit of both, but that's a good question. I would say it is not a non-audit area. The reason is this. You know, when you have a risk-based kind of audit approach in a very large enterprise or with multi-locations, what happens is you will plan process by process audit. But all these, if you see, is once in 3 years or once in 2 years or once in a year. Then what happens is there are people out there, like in Middle East, people who are scared. And we discussed this also, promotions are there. John discussed what kind of audit, you yourself ask questions, what kind of audit you need to deal with. They plan for these audits. They actually clean up 1 month before, hide, put things under the carpet, find out what auditors look for, etc., etc., etc. So, if you look at that fish net is you have horizontal net like this, then you have a vertical net, still the fish doesn't get caught, they put a cross net. So this continuous audit is some kind of a cross net that you put over and above your regular audits, planned audits. Wherein you look at key areas, at least the big picture areas, periodically.
I think I should change my questions. Does this continuous audit substitute the compliance check?
No way.
No.
No way. Compliance check is still needed. Continuous audit is still needed. Great thing, that was wonderful. I mean, nice of you people to sit till 6:10, not cursing us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sundar, Mr. Srinivas. I would request you to now join us from 7 p.m. onwards. We have our networking cocktail and dinners arranged outside. So I would request you to join us there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Madam, you have to be there in the center.